Before I talk about this issue of these forced COVID mandates and the steps that we are recommending that you take, let me give you a little background about Liberty Counsel. Liberty Counsel, we founded it in 1989. It's a national ministry, it's nonprofit. All that we do at no cost to you. Everything that we do is a ministry, and we provide our legal services pro bono to individuals that we represent. We have been to the Supreme Court of the United States multiple times, including over the last several months. We led the litigation around the country, defending pastors and churches against unconstitutional and discriminatory restrictions placed on them because of these COVID executive orders issued by governors and local legislators. We've been to the Supreme Court multiple times and won on those cases, and we also attained the first statewide permanent injunction in the country, and this was against the state of California on behalf of churches and places of worship. We have been at the Supreme Court many times over the 30-plus years of Liberty Counsel's existence. I've litigated in virtually every court of appeals around the country in many state Supreme Courts. Our attorneys are dedicated, and they are ready and willing to serve you, and we will do that at no cost to you. Before I talk about the process, I want to apologize that you're even having to be in this situation. This is not right. We receive many calls from distraught people, distressed, with anxiety, not knowing what's going to happen in the next few weeks, because they are threatened with these unconstitutional, unlawful mandates to get these COVID shots, or be terminated, or not be admitted to school, or be kicked out of school, or not be able to do their clinicals, or even to be dishonorably discharged after court-martial when they've served at the front lines. Those of you in the healthcare industry, I want to thank you for your service. You are our heroes. You've run, and you always do, to the very front line of danger, to protect people, to heal them, and to save your communities. Thank you for tirelessly going to work every day, putting your lives and even sometimes your families on the line of jeopardy in order to sacrifice for others. You are heroes, and we will stand with you. Your youth wasn't stolen. You voluntarily gave it up. And I want to thank you. You should never be put in this situation. You are our heroes. You fight for us. We will now fight for you. We will not abandon you. To students in school, I want to say you should never be faced with this kind of a choice, your educational and future career or these shots. And to everyone else in the other employment sectors, whether it's state, federal, or private, again, be calm, be in peace. You should never face this, and we will walk you through every step of the way. For all of you, I want to just encourage you to take one step at a time. Don't think about all the possibilities coming down the pipe. Take one step at a time. Do not abandon your post. Do not leave your jobs. Do not withdraw from school. You need to stay your post, and you need to stand for what is right, what is moral, and stand for freedom. This is unlawful to force you to inject any substance, let alone these COVID injections, into your body. Just before we go through the process, let me point you to a couple of places on Liberty Counsel's website that you may have already visited, and if not, I encourage you to do so. And if you know other people in similar situations like you facing these mandates, encourage them to visit the sites. The first one is the main web page, lc.org, lc.org. At the very top of that page, you'll see a tab that says Legal Help. Click on that. That has a drop-down screen, and it has several options that are there. One is a religious exemption letter. I'll come back to that in a few moments. And the other is the legal help form. You can fill out that form, and what you say to us and what you write is confidential, and we will protect that with attorney-client privilege. So you can go there and fill that out. We will then be able to communicate with you and contact you and send you information along the way, and you'll be able to stay in touch with us as we walk through this process. The other section of the website is lc.org/vaccine, lc.org/vaccine. At the very top of that page, you'll see a link for a legal memo. That also will appear down into the body of this page under Legal Memo. That gives you a little bit of an idea of the legal issues involved, but that's just a sampling because there are many other federal and state laws that we could include in that particular legal memo. The other thing that you'll see there at the top is also the sample religious freedom exemption letter. It's the same one that is on the legal help tab at lc.org. So when you scroll down on this page, lc.org/vaccine, I want you to pay particular attention to the section called Adverse Reactions. This overviews various adverse reactions from the COVID shots themselves, all three, Pfizer, Moderna, and Johnson & Johnson. You can, under that particular section, go down to VAERS Data Chart. VAERS Data Chart. That's updated every Friday. And you can click on that weekly, and that will give you the updated stats that are on the VAERS data site, which is the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC. And you'll see the number of deaths, and you'll see the different categories of reported injuries. According to the CDC and a Harvard study, what is reported on this VAERS site represents less than 1% of actual. So even though these numbers are staggering and very concerning, this is not the full picture. This is just the tip of the iceberg of what is really happening as a result of these particular shots. The swine flu shot was a failed experiment in the 1970s. It was rushed to market under the leadership of Gerald Ford. And it was promoted by the CDC. And it became a failed vaccine experiment that was rushed without proper testing. And it was eventually stopped after 53 deaths. There are more deaths every single day from the COVID shots than there are cumulatively from all the swine flu deaths that resulted in its cessation. There are more deaths in the 7 months of 2021 from the COVID shots alone than all the cumulative reported deaths from all vaccines combined over the previous 31 years when the VAERS data chart was ultimately launched on July 1, 1990. You can scroll down further and you'll see a section called Personal Stories. This and other areas of this particular page may be able to help you inform you of the decision that you need to make, and it is your decision alone. Under Personal Stories, the first link is C19. That was created by a medical doctor who received all the vaccines, was pro-vaccine, got a particular COVID injection, and now is disabled. In doing research for how to remedy and heal herself, she came across many, many other people just like her, and those stories are cataloged at that particular site. There's other personal stories under that section as well. So let's begin with step 1. And we want to make sure that you literally follow these steps. Don't think about the next step. Let's take one step at a time. So let's look at the religious exemption letter. That is a form letter. It has various kinds of scriptures and Christian languages, but you can adopt that to your particular religious belief and persuasion. It doesn't really matter what that is. That's just a sample to get you to think about how you're going to put your religious exemption request in writing. So you want to write your own religious exemption request. I would encourage you not to copy that particular exemption sample. Not because we are trying to copyright it, but we would rather not have the same employer or the school or someone in the military that's processing these see the same exact language with application after application. So place it in your own words. So use that as an example and begin crafting your religious exemption letter. It does not have to be long, and you do not have to go into a significant amount of detail with regards to that. The real issue, and the only issue from a legal standpoint, is do you have a sincerely held religious belief that ultimately prevents you from getting these particular COVID shots? Do you have a sincerely held religious belief? That's the only issue. That's the only question. And you can articulate that in any manner.